HMO Sobbies. It's your Paul the Trickster. Welcome to today's episode of 30 with Tony. The title of today's show is Do You Know What They Are Doing to You? And do you know? I am sure you don't. The demo commies don't tell you anything. They are worse than the tight-lipped crotch squad I had. Anyway, we got the best news, the boss's music, and the most amazing classic clips. And the worst part about the show is when it's over, so enjoy the show and let's hit it, HMO Sobbies.
Ain't nothing I can say, nothing I can do. I feel so bad, yeah, I feel so blue. I got to make it right for everyone concerned. Even if it's me, if it means it's me, what's getting burned? 'Cause I could never make you unhappy. No, I couldn't do that, girl. Only wish I didn't love you so. Makes it so very hard to go. So very hard to go. 'Cause I love you so. So very hard to go. I love you so. I knew the time would come, I'd have to pay for my mistake. I can't blame you for what you're doing to me, girl, even though my heart aches. Your dreams have all come true, just the way you planned them. So I'll just step aside, I'm gonna step aside and lend a helping hand then. 'Cause I could never make you unhappy. No, I couldn't do that, girl. Only wish I did love you so. Makes it so very hard to go. So very hard to go. 'Cause I love you so. So very hard to go. I love you so. I could never make you unhappy. No, I couldn't do that, girl. Only wish I did love you so. Makes it so very hard to go. So very hard to go. 'Cause I love you so. So very hard to go. I love you so. So very hard to go. And it ain't easy to walk away when a man loves somebody. Hey, hey, hey.
Well, hi, Kemosabi's. It's Tony D'Angelo. It is March 6th, 2025, 3 p.m. Eastern. Ada Domini in the year of our Lord. You're here for another edition of 30 with Tony. I am so happy to have you. I'm so appreciative of what you did for me last week. We had our most views ever on what we were talking about. And this is what I intend to do every single week. I want to give you something to think about. I want to give you something that I don't think anyone else is doing. I could be wrong about that. I can't see everything. But I want to show you some things perhaps in a perspective and in a prism that you've never really quite looked at this way before. That's my endeavor. Again, welcome. Again, thank you. Many thanks to our music contributors and our video contributors who allow us to use the music that we use with permission. I'm very grateful for that. We had an incredible, how could I put it, an incredible show of approval for the dancing troll last week. He's coming back again this week, so I don't want to disappoint you for that. Some of you just might be watching up until that point. You turn it off, and then you've had your fix for another week. I don't know, but I'm trying to do more than the dancing troll. But I think we do need to laugh now and then, especially now. But anyway, today we're going to get right into it. Because we've got a lot we need to go through. And today's subject is, how can I really put this? Do you see what they're doing to you? Do you see what they're doing to you? You may not. I know for the longest time I didn't. But I think today, when we go through what we're going to go through, you will see what they're doing to you. And this, I think, is critical and fundamental because one of our callers to the Lee Elsey show, Dan from East Hampton, says this all the time, and I fully agree with it. Where we're sitting right now in American history and Connecticut history and whatever history you happen to be in at this point in your particular life, this is the Alamo. This is the Last Chance Saloon. We are this little sliver and this little remnant of, shall we say, what America is. When you take the concept of make America great again, I was thinking about this over the weekend when I was driving. I said, I would live with MAAA, Make America America Again, because what that universe, that twisted demo commie universe that's out there, excuse me, got to get the frog out of my throat, is doing these days is not America. And what you're living in right now is not Connecticut, It's something else. We're going to see what it is. But basically, make America America again, and I'd be very, very happy. Now, America is a place of freedom. America is a place of peace and prosperity and the ability to do what you yourself can do. America is a place of independence and self-reliance. America is a place of energy independence. I was chatting with young Daniel Marisi over the weekend about the whole thing of it's simple beans. We talked about energy last week, and we have this bozzo, crazo, idioso, socioeconomico, politico, religioso, probinistico, stupido energy policy in the state of Connecticut. And all we have to do is jump on board with the man, the real Donald Trump. He has a perfect plan for the Northeast that really would cut energy bills way, way down. Wouldn't you like a lower energy bill? Wouldn't you like a lower heating bill? Perhaps I wouldn't be walking around in the studio with a sweater and a scarf. I mean, this is simple beans, but, not to the political universe. They, of course, know much more than you, and they know so much more than you that they are driving you to ruin, by and large. And those that should be fighting against that are not fighting nearly good enough, hard enough, and tactical enough. So with that in mind, I want to look at something here, which, how could I put it? I don't know how someone like Lee Elsey does it, where you've got to bring a new dinner or a new breakfast every single morning. And that's hard work, because it involves study, it involves preparation. And, me, myself, and I, for my show and my segments, I probably over prepare sometimes. I'll spend 3 hours on something that'll be 30 seconds on the radio. That's okay if the point is efficient and it's supported. And that's kind of the cost of doing business as such. But basically, what this comes down to is some of your best shows happen, or some of your best plots happen by not studying, by just letting it come to you. And I'm learning that in my old age. and as I get older. But it's pretty interesting. It's like the baseball player who tries to hit a home run. He never does. But if he tries to make good solid contact and he swings the bat well and he's big enough and he's strong enough or he's got strong wrists, the ball will fly off the bat and you will have some home runs. So anyway, this just came to me starting from let's just say last Friday and sort of boiling up to where we're at right now. So bear with me just a second. And I'm just going to do a screen share. Find the share button. Hey, Tony. Okay. I have a quote up here. This is a quote from H. Ross Perot. To those of you that are old enough, H. Ross Perot was an industrialist, a very highly driven, intelligent individual, a man who literally wrote management books that are incredible. I mean, they're too disciplined for the turkey trot, touchy feely, LGBT, diverse, all this other kind of stuff for today because they were books on production and getting the most out of yourself and getting, shall we say, an organization to function like a finely trained machine. Ross Perot was a quite a character, believe it or not, and certainly not a perfect man. But he ran for president in 1992 and 1996 against George H. Bush, the first Bush, King Bush the first. And basically, I think he ran because he hated George Bush. That was his motivation for running. He had no real, shall I say, probably didn't have a chance of winning, and he had no other reason to run. He was well situated in life, but he basically would point at somebody like George Bush and say, you say you're the solution, but you're really part of the problem or a large part of the problem because you take government at its highest good. Ross Perot said, I want to take government and I want to make it something that's efficient and works well and does, what it can do with a whole lot less as opposed to what you think it would do, George H. Bush. And we're largely in the same mess that we were. If you were around in the early 90s, I was working as a young married in the early 90s. It was not a good economic time at all countrywide for whatever reason. But basically, Ross Perot really was, you can almost call him the godfather of Doge. He saw the light going back, 30 some odd years. And he had a saying, which I still use. I think it gives great perspective as to what is important, really, and how you get things to work and how you get them to function at a high level. Ross Perot made this statement during a debate and in different ways, in different forms. You make more making computer chips than potato chips. Now, several times other than that, he said, a society that makes computer chips is a lot more developed and intelligent and wealthy than a society that makes potato chips. And think about it. We ourselves have our desires pitched to what we believe is our highest good. For example, if you grew up in a, poor house, or whatever, poor to fair to middling house like the one I did, you never knew there were such things as sirloin steak. You never knew there were such things as salmon or swordfish. You never knew there were such things as filet mignon. That was not within the sights of the D'Angelo family of the 1960s and 1970s. If you drive a car and all you've ever driven is maybe the lowest model Ford or Chevrolet, you don't know what the highest model of Mercedes offers. You just don't. You've never been exposed to it. And you can argue, is that good, bad, different, or otherwise? The point being is the farther you get along in life, the more developed you become, the more developed your tastes will become. For example, if you drive to a community with money, let's just say, oh, in Connecticut, I mean, I don't go down there much anymore, but used to be a treat to like go on a Saturday summer day and park the car and like walk around Westport or walk around Greenwich or walk around New Canaan. I have not been in recent years, but and it was my first wife liked the jewelry stores and the dress shops and the fine stores and things like that. And I'd have to come back and figure out a way how to pay for that stuff. But all that being as it is, the reason being is the community we lived in, which at that time was the West Haven Center, Connecticut, offered none of that because the people in that community weren't really aspired to get those kinds of things. Back then, the standing joke in West Haven, Connecticut was, we've got nothing here but pizza parlors, nail salons, liquor stores, and bars. Seeing pictures of what it's like now, I understand it's even going down from that. But all that kind of being as it is, we're driven by our desires. Intelligent students, intelligent young people want to get their hands on things that will help them develop mentally. They want to get into things where they see a path for themselves. They see a means of increasing their potential, of bettering themselves. Buying things, let me tell you this. Buying bigger houses and bigger cars and bigger boats and bigger watches, better watches, and all that other kind of stuff does not improve you. It only makes you object rich and cash poor. Things are great. Things are great to have. The problem is in society, it's like the lesson in the Bible of the rich young ruler. When the rich young ruler came to Jesus and the apostles and said he wanted to join up, and Jesus said, okay, well, and he was listing his qualifications. I tithe, I'm a good guy, I brush my teeth, I cut my hair, I drink my milk, I'm nice to my mommy and daddy, and on and on and on. I don't have that scripture exactly right, mind you. And Jesus said, okay, let's see what you're about. Sell all your goods, sell all your possessions, give them to the poor, and come and follow me. Now, what religion has done is said, well, this man with possessions could not commit himself to poverty. Jesus didn't say anything about poverty. He didn't say anything about religion. Got that idea. You want to be a Catholic priest, you got to have a vow of poverty. But like, hey, wait a minute. The apostles in the Bible, right? It was Matthew was a tax collector. I mean, back then, a tax collector was like a secretary of the Federal Reserve, like an undersecretary. Peter and James and Zebedee had a fishing fleet. Luke was a doctor. Later on, Paul was an attorney and a tent maker. These were not, these weren't, stumble bums. These were guys of means. So when they came to Jesus, Jesus said, come follow me. And you get the idea in religion that they followed like a bunch of zombies. Now, they had to ask a few questions. Well, you see, I got this 401k. I got the payments on the car. The wife kind of likes a nice dress now and then. And I'm sure they had that discussion. I mean, if not, they were irresponsible and probably shouldn't have been apostles in the first place, right? Somebody comes to you, you're working at your computer, and it's like, come follow me, I'll make you a fisher of men. It's like, well, what are you talking about? If you have a good day, you're probably going to push them out the door. If it's a bad day, you're probably going to listen to it, but still, you're going to ask those questions. So that all said, getting back to the rich young ruler, the problem was, it wasn't that he had great possessions that he couldn't part with. It was that the possessions had him. And that's, so many people go around in life getting possessions. And the problem is, after a while, the possessions have them. So they're working and they're driving in that car and they're in that rotten commute and they're in that job they can't stand and they're dragging around. Why? Because they've got these possessions, the leased cars, the bigly mortgaged house, and. So things are good. It's good to have things. It's good for me to have electronic equipment to do a show. But for me to have this mega glot studio and all these people and all that, then all that has me. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, So aspiring to things is good. Aspiring to education is good. Aspiring to develop yourself and to develop your business, your craft, your trade, your profession is great because it makes you better. A fighter enters the ring and he enters the ring in the best shape of his life. Why? Because he has to for what's ahead of him. And but the fact of the matter is he got in the best shape of his life. What happens to him when he leaves the ring may be an entirely different story. But you see what I'm saying? It's a byproduct of getting to a particular place. But anyway, what has happened in Connecticut? Has Connecticut created the type of environment that causes people to go? Oh, they talk about the universities. They talk about University of Connecticut and the great things it does. I mean, you had that stupid woman picked up and she was like the head of sex or something, and she's stealing money. I mean, this is education. I mean, this is pornography. This is the back of the bull's head variety when I was growing up. And we're going to make some, well, what did you learn in college? I learned about, pornography and stuff. I mean, like, my Lord. I mean, it's one thing to shame the hell out of it now. It's another thing to ask yourself, how did this get to where it is in the first place? Do we have people in the legislature in charge of education? Do they look to see these programs? Isn't this something they should do? I guess not. I mean, it's the University of Connecticut, Redenka Merrick crying the poor mouth, and they don't tell you about the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund in the foundation. We'll get into that a little bit later, sort of a byproduct of what we're doing. But anyway, I think you get what I'm saying here. You're hoisted by your own petard. You're driven by your aspirations. If you have no aspirations, you will be nothing. You will have nothing. You will be a bump on a log waiting for a check. I think that deserves a George Bush treatment here. You will be, start from the beginning. If you have no aspirations, you will have nothing. You will be nothing. And you will be a bump on a log, human protoplasm waiting for a check, relying on government subsistence. Let's go back to the share. Anyway, so last Friday, our dentist is in Meriden, and it's Meriden Mall. I'll tell you, man. I guess it's going to be sold. It is nothing but a wreck. It is so indicative of the Connecticut economic mindset. If you go to the upstairs part, our dentist is in the Meriden Mall. If you go to the upstairs part of the mall, there's one steak shop open. In that whole food court, there is one steak shop open. Used to be all kinds of things. Now, you can argue, well, the internet killed it, or, the cost of fuel and all that. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to make this thing, a destination, make people come. People still go to the movies, right? I can watch movies on my phone, but people still go to the movies. My father would always say about, when they have cable television, I won't have a job. Well, that didn't happen, right? My father, who is almost 100% right, was wrong on that one. But anyway, there's no there's no thought of development. There's just thought of, let's shut the thing down because we ran everything down around. But anyway, when we got done with the dentist, Kathy is hungry. And she says, as we're on the 91, I really wish we could have gone to the chowder pot. What was the chowder pot? Okay. The chowder pot was a fine seafood restaurant, and it was a treat. And you could get, I love seafood. She loves seafood. She really wanted to have a Friday bowl of clam chowder. Don't we all? And the chowder pot was, how could I put it? This is a place that made a lot of their revenue, if you will, on business people coming in, working people, on payday or Susie's birthday or, business meeting day or things like that. People who want to do better and grow in the businesses that used to be in the Hartford area. You know what's happened with that. I don't have to go through that, and I don't need to tell you why that's happened, but it certainly has. Connecticut's done every single thing to ruin business in the state, and it's right now doing it at a frenetic pace. But anyway, this restaurant closed. Now, there's a number of things that happen on the way to the fair. First of all, the revenue of fine restaurants, or eateries, if you will, is driven by working people who don't like to make their lunch, who like to go out with their friends. They see this midday respite as a daily treat, something that a little bit of variety and things like that. But when you remove the working person, when you remove the corporate employment, when you remove the environment in the city like Hartford, where people feel safe, and maybe they wouldn't live there, but they like what's there. They like the amenities. They like the Wadsworth Athenaeum. They like to go to the Civic Center and see an event and things like that, but they much rather would be at home and say Vernon or East Hartford or something like that. When you remove that, these businesses that are dependent upon this can't make it anymore. The other thing is the communist takeover of COVID-19. And this whole thing with the phases and the reopenings and the wearing a mask and not wearing a mask and sitting at a table wearing a mask, and you've got to leave your mask on when you're not chewing or eating, and living and working and all that under communistical conditions. Even if people had the money, they don't want to go out and be abused like that. And of course, all of that was not, shall we say, protective measures conjugated in the mind of King Governor Ned Lamont the Unaccountable. This is all McKinsey playbook. And McKinsey basically, who does McKinsey represent? McKinsey represents the big corporate restaurant chains, the fast food chains, and things like that. They wanted the independent restaurants, the independent quality restaurants, out of business. So why not have a whole concocted scheme to destroy them? And a lot of them did get destroyed, and a lot of people's lives were ruined because of it. And a lot of this ruination happened in Connecticut as the entire legislature stood idly by and did nothing, and just basically sat there and cried the poor mouth with the Connecticut Restaurant Association. Disgusting, terrible spectacle, and it should go down in infamy, but personally. So here we are, Kathy and Tony, headed for the Northeast. Couple of whatever you want to call it, working business people, and we would like to stop in for a working business people's lunch, and it ain't there because they've done everything they can to drive these venues for working business people out of existence for whatever reason. So what happens? Okay, what happens? Drive down the road a little bit, as far as time is concerned. The property of the chowder pot is sold to a cannabis company. Okay. Cannabis, marijuana, marijuana is good for you. As my father was right when he told me as a very young boy, Tony, why do you think they call it dope? But anyway, shall I say, the economic sites, the economic desires, as Mr. Perot said, you make more making computer chips than potato chips. We take away the venue where people were making more, and now shall I say, the desire of what's there is, okay, let's go out and blow some dope. Let's go have a couple of joints. Now, the legislature in seeing this and doing this, two things happen. There were some totally moronic, absolutely insane. Talk about, talk about being high. Projections as to all the revenue that marijuana is going to bring in. Well, yeah, you're going to have people driving impaired. You're going to have wrecked lives. You're going to have people coming back to work stinking in high heaven, committing mistakes, committing malpractice and all of that. That's all okay. But when I looked at this on the Lee Elsey show, I forget how many years ago, I said, if you were to take these idiotic revenue projections and you were actually going to put them in, every single adult in Connecticut would have to do 24 joints a year. I ain't doing no joints. I ain't going to be patriotic to Connecticut and blow dope. Okay. It was just so inane. And not only that, but the word on the street. Listen, the word in Pomfret, Connecticut, because I see it, is people aren't going to the quote unquote legitimate establishments. They are going to the same street guy who gets them the stuff cheap. They ain't paying tax. They ain't doing none of this stuff. They ain't getting involved with idiotic Connecticut. There, I got to agree with them. And they're just going about their business. But basically, your legislature thought that going from a society where people would want to eat in a fine restaurant and make themselves better to a world of blowing dope is good, is revenue, is that sort of thing. I mean, this is what's happening. Do you see what they're doing to you? Do you see? It's just, how can I put it? When you are in a situation where you want to do something and you want to go somewhere and it's not around you, you have two choices. You either have to just acquiesce to what's there and just kind of, okay, this is as good as it's ever going to get, or you have to move, you have to get out, basically. And my very cursory view of what's been happening in Connecticut, which again, is all part and parcel of the, shall we say, the wonderful talent of the legislature, coupled by a very, very, very weak and sometimes almost silent opposition, if any, is we see I'm not whatever. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not a socioeconomico, politico, religioso, probinistico, stupido expert. But where Kathy and I did end up going was the very fine delicatessen in Vernon, the Jewish delicatessen. And that was great, very crowded. Love going. Not cheap, but very, very good, worth the treat. And my observation of the people in the restaurant was people our age and older or foreign-born people. Now, that's fine. It's just, how could I put it? It's, they are running their business to whosoever will, and it's very, very good. But I asked myself, where is the young American couple of whatever color, but the homegrown people? They ain't here. They ain't sticking around. They ain't gonna be in a place that wants to go and have cannabis as its highest good. They want to be able to live well and live reasonably well and live more cheaply instead of something like this. But anyway, it even gets better than this. Again, do you see what they're doing to you? You're going to see what they're doing to you by the time we get done, believe me. We have a Department of Transportation. We have a Department of Public Safety. And I am not a police officer. I am not a public safety expert, but I drive a car and I observe. I think we can all agree that driving a car on marijuana is not a good thing. I don't care how many stupid red light cameras you put on the wrong ways. That's just a, stupid way to get money into somebody's pocket. Does nothing. In order to stop this stuff, you have to have enforcement, penalty, fines, imprisonment, jail, loss of license, maybe taking away somebody's right to drive. And if they don't do that stuff, they ain't interested. So if you have people watch me from all over, Route 91, Interstate 91 in Connecticut, has two of the worst interchanges in the United States of America. The interchange from Route 91 to Route 84 in Hartford, there was some work done on them. They're maybe slightly better than they were, but since the Connecticut DOT was involved in the work, it still is illogical. It still is, they still are dangerous places to be. You still have to be on hyperspace going through them. And then when you go down Interstate 91, where Interstate 91 meets Interstate 95, that was another butte. It still is a butte. It's still highly dangerous. It's still a racetrack. It's still not well patrolled. And you've got a mess there. Before we get into that, what I did want to say is people looking at this, before we get off that particular subject and saying, well, we have good education. We have a very highly educated populace in Connecticut. What are you talking about, D'Angelo? Well, yeah, they're like in the universities and they're, getting master's degree and directions in porn and gender studies and all that. That is not quote unquote actualizing wealth. That is quote unquote stupid nonsense that stays within the confines of something and does not generate anything except maybe a little bit around what's there, but there is no production. There's nothing driving it there other than people coming in. And believe me, there's going to be less and less of them coming in. It's insane. But anyway, when you get down to the 91, 95, you hit another, shall I say, red light, all hands on deck traffic area. So what does our intelligent government do? Do you see what they're doing to you? There was a theater. There was a theater, a fine theater in Connecticut known as the Long Wharf Theater. I don't know if they're still operating, but they were on Long Wharf. And I was working on a group to keep the Long Wharf Theater in Long Wharf. And they had a big theater building and it was off of Sergeant Drive and, down off. And there was fine theater brought to you in New Haven. Now, again, if I am a person of intelligence, I will seek culture. If I am a stupid idiot, I'll seek OnlyFans. It's kind of like how it goes. And I'm not saying all people that go to the theater are intelligent and all people seeking OnlyFans are dumb, but I think you get my drift. Those that are much more, shall I say, musically astute than I might be, will go to the New Haven Symphony. I will go to the symphony, and I've sat with my wife. It's like, gee, that's very nice. I don't really mentally aspire to the highest, musical taste on the planet, but it's kind of a sliding scale. So what you see in society is you've got fine dining over here. That's gone to pot. And you've got a theater, and that's gone to pot. And not only that, but in your typical Connecticut social safety disaster, you've got big marijuana depots at the top of the highway and the bottom of the highway. I mean, basically, do you see what they're doing to you? And now these guys here, I can't hate them. What is their name? Jose Anaya and Jake Scarfini. They're meeting a market. They're meeting, at least in state, a legal market. Thank you. Just need to get a sip of tea. And basically, but the desire of what's around them wants marijuana, does not want fine theater, because there is nothing to aspire to. And that's really, how could I put it? That's really the damage of what's taken place. I mean, they're damaging on all fronts. They're damaging school by this stupid library bill. Oh, yeah. I'm grateful to Libs of TikTok who took my tweet where I said that no one was really seeing that the library bill is a means to remove the houses and property of parents who might complain against the library book because, it's very easy for a librarian to say they're harassed. You're harassing me. I'm going to sue you and I'm immune. And, I'm going to use the power of the state to do it against the earnest parent. God bless these parents. I see too many of them. They're fighting for the girls' sports, that are fighting for the library bills. I mean, it's sad. It's sick. But again, this is what they're doing to you. Whatever is there to take away your independence, your growth, your intelligence, your self-reliance, your building on better, they want to get in the way of it. They being the commie-driven political system. They want to get in the way of that. And it bothers the hell out of them when they can't do that to you. And it bothers them even worse when you start attacking them for what they're doing and telling them exactly what they are. They can't deal with it. They just can't possibly deal with it because they are essentially bloodsuckers off of federal money. It's all air. It's all air. And we do wonderful things. We look out for people. Yeah, you're going to have more marijuana, right? We're going to have more addicted kids. We're going to have more kids taking marijuana gummies to school for dessert, right? That's a good thing. And we're going to take away restaurants and fine places in business, and we're going to put in their place the chowder pot. In the place of the chowder pot, we're going to put the cannabis company. Now, our stupid clown Department of Economic and Community Development, aka Department of Economic and Community Destruction. Do you think that people wanting to come into Connecticut or wanting to move their business are going to move here? For what? For what? You think they want their people killed on the highways by, stone drivers? Do you think they want their kid who skins his knee, who walks into a medical facility and, somebody there is having a hangover or a relapse or something? They don't want that. They don't want that. I mean, Senator Saud Anwar, hi, Senator Anwar, wants to put drug dens on the streets. This is humanity. They ain't coming here for that. I mean, it's like, do you see what they're doing to you? And this is all okay. This is fine. But anyway, let me just say this. I'm going to stop the share for a second. We're going to jump right back to it. Again, got to reinforce this. The level of desire is driven by the level of knowledge, right? I thought I had at one point a really neat car until I went to see the newer models, and it's like, man, what I got's a pile of junk, and the inquisitiveness of something is based upon what you may know. So that back in Connecticut history, when you had the gun manufacturers and you had the insurance companies and you had the various defense industries and you had the tool makers in Stamford, you had Pitney Bowes, had the monopoly on the postage meter. I'm not a Pitney Bowes fan. I'll tell you that story. But basically, Pitney Bowes did a lot. They sponsored the sports teams and they were a community staple, and it was driven by industry and intelligence. And a lot of good machinists came from there, a lot of good engineers, a lot of good accountants and attorneys came from there. A lot of good managers came from there because they had to get better in order to advance in the organization. A lot of carpenters, a lot of steam fitters, a lot of plumbers, had a lot of buildings all over the place. You're driven by what's there. And not only that, but the insurance needs and the medical needs and all that was given by these corporations that were providing it for their workers. I mean, my deceased brother was high up in Pitney Bowes in Stamford, and he had one mission statement. I don't know if it was taped to his wall or whatever the case may be, or frame, but it was keep the union the hell out of here, basically. So that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to nurture their people so they can continue to make more money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, what has happened over time is that Connecticut, due to the political system and due to the corporate lobbyists that have driven the state legislators, who are largely brainless in many cases, to, stupidity and whatever the case may be, have convinced them that we don't need this anymore. You've got to set up a welfare state. And like anything else, nothing happens overnight. It's the frog in the water. The frog's very comfortable in the warm water until he's cooked to death. This has been gradual. It's taken a lot of years to get here, and it's going to take some time to get back. But when your house is burning down, you don't fight the fire with a water pistol. You'll run for the quickest thing you have, the fire extinguisher, the garden hose, whatever, or both, because the damage is severe and immediate and will consume you if nothing is done. That's the part we're at right now. So we've got legions and legions and legions and legions of people who basically, through the socio-economico, democomico, politico, religioso, probinistico, too much to get out system, are entirely dependent on the federal mammary gland. That's basically what it is. And the water, because of Elon Musk and Doge, is going to get cut off. And as well it should, because we just can't keep spending like idiots. And just, we've looked at, Bob Swick had a great piece on Saturday just about the legislature handing out money to nonprofits that really don't need it. I mean, that's legion in Connecticut. Nobody has control over that. Nobody has the desire politically to control that, because they themselves, whosoever they are, like handing out the plums. And they see this as economic development, like the idiots in the United States Senate who think that, highway development is economic development. They don't care about you sitting in traffic for 4 hours. It's absolutely insane. That's how idiotic and how out of touch these people are. But that said, what has happened over time, when we've gone from that industrious society who was reaching out to the society that thinks, hey, grab a joint and things are great. You've got more inert, hopeless, I shouldn't say hopeless, I'm a Christian man, but hopeless situations and people who are not equipped to do anything because they haven't aspired to anything. They haven't been trained. They're told by counselors in school, hey, you're a boy. You ever consider about being a girl? And oh yeah, don't tell your parents and all that kind of stuff. So this wreckage of what they're doing to you is accruing to the fact of, well, now the stupid demo commie socio-economico, politico, religioso, probinistico, kineticioso system has to take care of you, and now they can't take care of you because the water's getting off. Okay, let's get back to the show. Let's go to here, and here we go. You've got Democrats are talking about the cutoffs of federal funding. Now, this particular slide, if you will, is from News Channel 8. And what it doesn't have, well, maybe I can. Let's go back to here. No, I guess I don't have that. But if you saw the pictures of this hearing, and if you saw Senator Matt Lesser and Representative Jillian Gilchrist talking about this, my first thought in looking at both these people was, but for the Connecticut legislature, these people couldn't be employed anywhere. That was my thought. Okay. Hate my guts. Maybe agree, maybe you disagree, but that was my thought. And, there's a lot of us that can be employed in other places, but for these two, I'm not so sure. And with all of that being as it is, the saddest thing is this. Representative Gilchrist says, in the state of Connecticut, nearly 1 million residents receive their health care through Medicaid. Now, Medicaid is the last chance saloon. You got nothing. You got no insurance. You can't pay for anything. You got no assets. In other words, you're dirt poor as dirt. You're poorer than dirt. You're sitting there literally just with a basket saying, "My name is Jimmy. I'll take all you can give me." A third of the state is on Medicaid. How the hell did that happen? What happened here to the fine people who would come to the fine restaurants and transact business and aspire to do better things? Or what happened to the thought of Ross Perot that said, you make more making computer chips than you do potato chips? I mean, what we have now is the eating of potato chips making people sick, basically. It's so sad. That's the sad thing. And when you look at this, when you look at this wreckage, this filth, this economic garbage, it's like, it's not the fact that people need Medicaid. It's the fact that we've got no damn economy. We've got no damn means of getting these people out of the gutter, basically because we have visionless politicians. All they can do is beg. They are nothing without federal money. They have no skills. They have no governance abilities. Got nothing. They got absolutely, positively nothing. But oh yeah, they can, if they don't like what you're doing, they're going to try to lock you down. I guess that's a little bit harder right now. That's basically what they are. And this is what you've got. You've got that. You need a little relief. Go drug yourself, have a few joints. It's just, this is the cycle. Do you see what they have done to you? We've now got to beg and cry the poor mouth because there's nothing economically generating anything right now. There's no aspiration. And don't give me this crap about we've got universities. These people come and they go. The brighter ones go on to do things. The others walk out with debt and useless degrees that do nothing. But they do employ a whole lot of, administrators and, pilfering chancellors and, women that have porn as education and all that kind of stuff. And, all because of people going into debt and taxpayer expense. That's their idea. So now guess what? We're poor. A third of this state is on Medicaid. Now, how do you approach that if you're a Republican? Well, personally, I think you got to fight it like hell. You got to say, this is a welfare state. This is an absolute positive welfare state going somewhere to happen. Look at what these demo-commie criminals have done to our state. They have ripped out the initiative of millions of people. They have driven anything good and productive away. We can still produce, we can still do good things, but you've got to do it on your own. You've got to do it from within yourself. The damn system is giving you no bright lines, basically. And this is what you got. Like I was saying to Kathy yesterday, if you want to change a system, there's one of two things you can do. You can either explode it from within at whatever the personal cost is, and there's so few people that are willing to do that, especially in a place like Connecticut, where they're looking for a glad hand and an attaboy when they get through with their legislative, I don't even want to call it service in a lot of cases. Or you get out and you do your own thing, and that motivates people to do better in some cases. I might be proof of that. But, you're not everybody is going to build a rocket. Not everybody is going to go to engineering school. Not everybody can be a doctor. Some people need good, solid factory employment to own a home and raise a family and love and be part of the community. And we don't offer that. What we offer is pot. What we offer is a potato chip environment. We could even do that. But anyway, let's look at some of the other stuff. Do you see what they're doing to you? My good pal, Dr. Jan Grosskopf, put this tweet up the other day. And this is something that's very troubling to me, because as angry as I get with Republicans not doing the right thing, not fighting for what they believe in, not separating the really clear issues from the really stupid issues, not separating and bringing out what happened here as opposed to what happened here. But when you go to here, we've been through this. but I feel it bears mention. There's an outfit running around called Undue Medical Debt. And what undue medical debt does is that they find a got rocks donor. Mackenzie Bezos. She's got more money and she knows what to do with. The ex-wife of Jeff Bezos. And she basically makes a donation to this formed charity, which really, and I've been through it here, and I've been through it on the Lee Elsey show. This is my tweet of whatever day this is, Christmas Eve of last year, is really doing something here really illegal for terms of the code. Mackenzie Bezos makes a donation to undue medical debt, the code being the Internal Revenue Code. The charity goes to a hospital and buys up all this medical debt, which of course was generated from what's happening here, that's never, ever, ever going to be paid by, cents on a dollar. And then what they're going to do is they're going to send a letter with Ned Lamont's signature, with Allison Sesso, that, and say, we have forgiven your bazillions of dollars worth of debt. Now you're going to look at that. It's like, you get the letter, you say, glory to God, my debt has been forgiven. You never could pay it anyway, but it's going to be forgiven. Go in peace, my son. It's the year of Jubilee. But anyway, what will happen, you look at that letter, what does that letter show you? Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, forgave your debt. Ned Lamont is got as much to do with that as I do about building the next Tesla rocket. But when it comes to voting time, you're going to get a phone call. And the phone call is going to say, you're just a really nice, and don't you, Ned Lamont forgave your debt. Aren't you going to vote for him? Well, guess what? How's a Republican supposed to overcome that? How is a Republican, unless you start attacking this mess at the source? A laughable episode on the show, Dr. Jan had called up Ben Proto twice when he was guesting on the Lee Elsey show. And basically, Ben Proto's answer was, I'm going to talk to my leaders about it. It's not a legislative matter, people. It is a matter of, this is not state legislation. This is a matter of saying, you need to do something. You need to do something now. You need to stop this system, if you will. Because look at it this way. Mackenzie Bezos donates, I don't know, $8 million. Now, if you can buy medical debt that will never be paid for a penny on a dollar, think of how many letters you can send out. Now, I don't know what your campaign finance limits are, but this is a whole lot more powerful. And I need to show, if you see this, you need to take this to everybody that you know and say, you got to put a stop to it. Take it to Pam Bondi. Take it to Elon Musk. This is something that really, this can destroy any sort of economic integrity, any sort of election integrity, because it's basically the buying of the vote, sticking, some incompetent politician's face on something that they didn't do. Look at it this way. Gavin Newsom's in the sewer in California. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, is a hopeless idiot. I don't care what color she is. She could be pink with purple polka dots for as far as it's concerned. But if a Mackenzie Bezos writes a letter and donates some money, and debt forgiveness letters go out with their signatures, guess what? A lot of these people are going to forget about the Pacific Palisades wildfire. You see how it works? And you'll get a lot more mileage doing this than you will with some silly campaign contribution. So this is a part of what's here. Republicans are not using the vision that they need to. Last week, we talked about energy, which is a total and complete disgrace. What about this? I mean, I see this, maybe because I watch a lot of 50s crime racket shows, but this is a perfect bait and switch. This is a perfect, a perfect misrepresentation con game. Anyway, I can't do it myself. You need to do it for me. And Republicans need to start to think like the evil demo commie people are thinking against them and plotting against them right now. But anyway, occasionally we see signs of life in that if you've been following in Bridgeport, there was one of the people accused in the Bridgeport voter fraud crime scandal, if you will, one of the accused people in that crime, in that, shall we say, alleged crime, came out and said, we're the foot soldiers. We're the people who are, going out. We're just told to get out the vote, beg, steal, borrow, do whatever in the heck you can to get the vote out. And then the hammer falls on us, and Lamont and Blumenthal and Himes and basically the higher echelon skate. They get to do it again, and we're running the risk of incarceration, and we got to pay for our own lawyers. And well, yeah, you were involved in a crime. I get that, but it's what you're saying is a very good point. The people, Murphy, the people who are benefiting from their fraud are walking away, and Republicans aren't saying a word about it. Okay, until now. We have a letter to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, and 4 people in the legislature signed it. And I thought, I remarked to somebody, it's nice to see the state Republican Party come halfway there from coming none of the way there. My question is this: why isn't every single, I'm going to curse here, goddamned Republican in this state signing this letter? Signing letters in support. Every single candidate for the past 20 years, the Claritas, the Stefanowskis, why aren't you signing this letter? Because they stole the damn election from you. And not only that, but as we've discussed, if you've got a little bit of taint somewhere, and you've got a lot of taint somewhere else, and you got people saying, oh, there is no voter fraud in Connecticut, or there's only a little voter fraud. It's basically like saying you have a little bit of cancer. And it's just, that's how that whole thing works. And if you have no elections, if you have no integrity, if the weakest link is showing something, then what's the point of you being in politics? What's the point of you serving if I can't put my vote down and say, well, that vote goes for what I believe in? Every single, going to say it again, goddamned Republican needs to be signing that letter. For all the press conferences, I watched your energy press conference, Republicans. Why don't you have a voter integrity press conference? Get every single damn Republican, every single selectman, every single ice cream salesman, you name it, and say, the elections in Connecticut are fraudulent and we need help here. We can't get a clean election, because you can't, and because they are fraudulent. And you don't want to do anything about it other than say, well, have the feds come in and investigate and have 4 people sign the letter. So basically, and you say here, well, the state's trying to do its best. Okay. If the state's trying to do its best, if the state were honest, and that is a highly debatable presumption, they ain't doing it. And we need to have clean elections, voter ID. We need to get away from all this stupid stuff, all this, paper ballot manipulation. And basically, this is what you get. And it's like, I don't know, it's like 10 things racing from my mouth. I just don't want to start cursing a blue streak. But you look at this and they pay no attention to that. And then you look at this and you see a half-hearted effort. And it's like, well, is this effort going to catch up with this or just rampant voter fraud? Again, look at what they're doing to you. I don't think it's coming close, and I think you can see the same thing. But anyway, what's at the top? Well, at the top, we got King Governor Ned Lamont, the unaccountable, was seen probably, believe it was mid to late February, walking in the woods with his consigliere, George Jeffson. This was before his inexplicable jaunt to India. I covered that very well on Twitter. day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, with the Governor Ned Lamont on the lam. Now he's got his economic ecosystem. He's got advanced CT to cover up all the business that he's doing in India. He's got the CT DECD where will write checks for him. He's got the Yukon Foundation where the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund is in there. He's got Rudenka Merrick, and they're doing stuff with high tech and all kinds of, venture capital and all this other kind of stuff. Look, if this stuff were legitimate, Semaphore, right? Yeah, big economic development thing that was. Digital Currency Group, right? Yeah, sure, right, okay. If this were legitimate, how many people do you think it would employ legitimately, especially when the gold standard of Connecticut economic policy is cannabis? I mean, he's doing it for himself, people. He's not showing you. He's running it all in advanced CT because it is a Connecticut nonprofit exempt from freedom of information. And there's nothing on the table. There's nothing untoward. And where the CT GOP can write letters like this, and this is all great, why aren't you going after this? Why do you leave it for me? Now I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it as best as I can. But basically, the people you roll out for governor are going to be answering these questions. And no answer is a non-answer. And believe me, Twitter now is bigger than all these silly newspapers and these TV stations that nobody watches because they know the farce that goes on, basically. So anyway, I think we can stop the share. Do you know what they're doing to you? Now I think you know. And I've only hit the top of the tippy sprinkles on the ice cream cone and the cherry with this stuff. And it's so sad. And it's that this was a great state. It can be a great state again. But like we said at the top of the show, we're now in the Alamo. We are now at a point of desperation. We are at a point of either doing something or having something done to us that, frankly, this state will never, ever, ever recover from. Now, I'm very happy and hopeful that Doge will do a lot just by, cutting the water off in many cases, because this kind of nonsense, the horrors that go on today for good and decent families that have to defend their children's education, their children's athletics, the safety of their home, the safety of their neighborhoods, the value of their assets, and everything around the zoning, the quality of where they live, if they choose to pay for that, is absolutely terrible and beyond belief. But you now have the information. You are forearmed because you were forewarned. If you agree with me, please tell me. If you disagree with me, I'd like to know. And I thank you very much for watching this segment today. It's time to get on with the rest of the show. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. We'll be right back right after this.
Hello fun seekers. Since we like to mix fun with business, please enjoy another video classic clip, courtesy of the producers of 30 with Tony.
Do you know the world is a foul sty? Do you know if you ripped the fronts off houses, you'd find swine?
I don't want you to touch my mother. So go away, I'm warning you. Go away or I'll kill you myself. Your hands. Oh, let me go, Uncle Charlie. Let me go.
Hey 30 with Tony Kimosabis. Welcome to the Dancing Troll.
You're all I need to get by. You're all like sweet morning dew. I took one look at you, and it was plain to see you were my destiny.
Arms open wide, I threw away my pride. I'll sacrifice for you, dedicate my life to you. I'll go where you lead,
Come on, baby.
always there in time of need.
And when I lose my will, you'll be there to push me up the hill. There's no looking back for us. We got love, show love, that's enough. You're all
Well, thanks, Ski Masabis. Thanks for staying with us. Thanks to our music contributors, and special thanks to the Dancing Troll. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Got a story for you. A little mutt dog was found on the streets of Norwich. He had to be nurtured and cared for. Some kind soul took him in, fed him, brushed his hair, got his vitamins, took him to the vet. And one day it was noticed that this dog really had some ability. He was dancing. He was able to do tricks. He was able to ride a little unicycle. He could even sing. And this person said, gee, this is a great idea. I'm going to take this dog to Las Vegas, and I'm going to make all kinds of money with him. This is the greatest thing that ever happened. So anyway, he packs the dog. They go in the car, and they drive all the way to Las Vegas. They audition, and the dog is set on opening night. So he goes out, and he does his routine. Everybody in the audience is like, I can't believe this. This is the most incredible thing I ever saw. Then this big dog jumps on the stage, gets the little dog, and pulls him away. And everybody's like, well, what are you doing it for? And this big dog looks up and says, I'm this little guy's mother. I finally found him. I don't want him in entertainment. I want him to be a doctor. It's better than last week. It's Tony D'Angelo here. Thanks, Ski Masabis. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll be back next week with an even greater show. So long.